Good morning, everyone. Let's get the show started. The Frontier opening bell is Thursday, the 10th of June. Welcome to the show. My guest on the show this morning, Onyeka Ijoma, who is in charge of industrial goods analysis at Vertiba Capital Management. Onyeka, thank you very much. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Boston. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. We've got a couple of news to run today, but as always, you can be sure that the markets come first. And that's the all green yesterday across a number of African equities market, from Nigeria to the Ivorian market to the Egyptian market. The EGS came back after almost 2 weeks of a negative run, now printing a 0.8% yesterday, got its 10,000 index reading back. The NSE, that's the Nairobi Securities Exchange, got 13 basis points. GSC got 0.05% on the back of some gains in industrials and financials, despite the better than expected GDP numbers for the first quarter, and the analyzed 4.6% numbers. Nigerian market got its 39,000 back also, by the way, thanks to industrial goods and the banking sector. Onyeka will be talking about that. Let's get you, Onyeka, into that yesterday. The industrial goods got the market into positive reading. But quickly, let me run everyone through the East African market. Shelter Africa, which has Nigeria as one of its major shareholders, signed $11 million housing deal with Zimbabwe's Bank ABC. And Tanzania says it will be doing about 10.7 trillion local shillings for debt repayments full year 2021-2022. So debt repayment as a whole burden there for a number of African economies, Nigeria not an exception, going by what Tanzania will be spending here. Ethiopia opens its first coffee training center to boost exports, and I love this photo over there, looking at the massive export from Uganda, Tanzania in coffee. Now Ethiopia is doing a coffee training center. We can do a whole lot more like this in West Africa, by the way. And then ARC, which is the Africa Risk Group, signed a memorandum of understanding on risk management with this Africa Center for Disease Protection. And Kenya Airways has picked UK's Steer Group to steer the troubled airline for its turnaround strategy options. What options lay there from keeping Kenya Airways alive? Steer Group in the UK should be able to provide that turnaround for the troubled airline, whose shares trading was suspended for quite some time on the Nairobi bourse. Let's get on with the stories around the Nigerian, where economists and analysts are still chewing over. The World Bank reports that Nigeria's GDP revised to 1.8% this year from 1.1% earlier. And the Africa Finance Corporation, which is headquartered in Lagos, now has 31 countries as members. That's half of, at least more than half of the 55 countries on the African continent. Morocco, Congo DRC, and Burkina Faso are now members last month. And MTN Nigeria will pay a dividend of 590 kobo per share. That's music to the ears of Nigerians who are investors in this big telco. That number came in yesterday for full year operations. Jaiz Bank is a non-interest bank. Earnings forecast, profit after tax, almost 1 billion for third quarter. The share price of Jaiz Bank went down yesterday, Wednesday on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Suno Assurance forecasting gross written premium of about 86.79% in the third quarter as well. EcoBank Ghana declaring 177 million cedis in dividend. That's gross dividend, by the way. And Cameroon is looking at the budget revision. The size will get bigger, 11.2%, about 5.48 billion CFA for the current year. Onyeka, let me start with the industrial goods yesterday. A very big jump yesterday. We saw a bit of that big jump also in the industrial goods sector on Tuesday, back to back, leading the Nigerian bourse to the upside.
Yes, and I'll tell you that, the sentiment around the industrial goods sector has been very, very positive, and rightly so, because we are seeing this transport infrastructure push, from the federal government, from state governments, moving on, even as, other sectors in the economy have been reeling from the insecurity issues in Nigeria. This sector seems to, keep going strong. We have expectations of cement demand growing by almost hitting double-digit growth this year, which is very impressive for a country that is coming out of recession. For a country that that is basically coming out of recession in 2020. It's super impressive. And I expect that we'll continue to see more positive sentiment in the industrial goods sector in
Yeah, so,
Nigeria. And just speaking on the
yeah,
actual numbers.
just a quick one. The government's just announced a PPP arrangement of about how many roads in Nigeria that will be PPP with the private sector as well. You think that announcement came just about a week ago? That's another fillip to what you're saying, right?
Yeah, so generally across the transport space, we are seeing quite a number of projects being announced by the federal government, and even beyond that, we're seeing a lot of I think beyond the announcement of projects, it is the expectation that we will see this translate to actual capex disbursement. So previously, I mean, for the past about 6 or 7 years, we have been seeing consistent growth in capex budgets, in capital budgets across Nigeria. However, capex execution has been significantly weak. It has been seriously weak, usually falling below 60% capex execution. However, as of last year, we saw that hit over 70%, one of the highest that we've seen. And the total disbursement was about 1.8 trillion between January and December. And because there was a brief period.
Okay, I guess we got a bit of
where there was a slowdown in security because of the lockdown and issues with security. Am I back?
Yes, you're back. I love what you're talking about because Oyeka, when you look at in recent times, we've also heard in the news a number of state governments that are talking about building as many flyovers as possible. For example, Rivers State also, the governor says he's going to build about 7 flyovers. We saw the massive one going on in Kano State that's been done in Kano State. I'm sure a number of states want to do the same. Edo State is also coming to building an economic zone. Ekiti State or Ondo State is talking about an airport, by the way. This all is going to go all about cement. So I know cement is a big market now, but let's talk about MTN. 5 naira 80 kobo per share or so as dividend. That's a good one for the pandemic year.
Yes, it was an impressive dividend announcement. They announced it when it was proposed when the full year 20 results came out, and it was just approved by the shareholders at the annual general meeting, and so it will be paid out as soon as possible. This brings their total dividend, full year dividend, payout to about 9 naira 40 kobo, if I recall, because there was an interim dividend announcement, and that is quite positive for MTN Nigeria's shareholders, especially because it gives them a yield of getting close to double digit figures, which is significantly impressive for them. I am very interested in the World Bank story, though. The one about them adjusting their growth expectations. We're basically seeing it's sort of in line with what we've seen other major agencies do. As the global economy opens up, we are seeing even more. We are seeing a faster than expected acceleration in economic activities. We are seeing that affect things like crude prices. We are seeing that affect things like metal prices, and this is all translating into higher growth expectations for countries. For Nigeria specifically, we are seeing about the World Bank is expecting a 1.8% growth in 2021, which is up by 0.7% from their previous forecast. So we're basically seeing a much higher forecast expectation. Even South Africa, for South Africa, they are also expecting a growth of about 3.5%, largely because South Africa is coming from a weaker base because of the stronger impact of the pandemic on the South African economy. But that is also improving by about 0.2% from the World Bank's previous forecast. However, one thing that does strike me is the dichotomy between the major forecasting bodies, the IMF, the World Bank. With the IMF, we're basically seeing a 2.5 2.3, 2.4% growth expectation for Nigeria. With the World Bank, we're seeing a 1.8% growth forecast to Nigeria. At Betiva, we are seeing I think below 2.2% growth forecast for Nigeria. And even there's just such a dichotomy. It tells us.
I'll go with the World Bank. And you know why? The reason why I'll go with the World Bank, because World Bank will use your development economics to look at your likely GDP growth. Because again, I'll go with the World Bank. I'll take the worst case scenario, best case scenario, if you want to put it that way, and work my way up. 2.4 is not so difficult to achieve, but 1.8 sounds a little bit, because we did just about a quarter, 0.51% in Q1 for Nigeria. So if you extrapolate that down the rest of the year, bearing any unforeseen occurrence and whatever in the economy, let's see whether the second quarter and the third quarter, let's see what the PMIs and other indicators are telling us, and see whether we'll be able to achieve it. But what economists are saying, like you rightly put it, is that 1.8, 2.4 is still below our population growth, which is about 3.2% or thereabout. So whatever we are going right now is not even meeting the level of population growth, and any notches above that. So we're not even in the money yet, even with 2.4%, the IMF. But look at the other forecast, because we look at Southern Africa, like you're just talking about South Africa, talking about the virus, which is continuing to hurt emerging markets and developing economies, according to the World Bank. The business confidence for South Africa came in 97, reading in the month of May against 94.7. Spoken with an analyst yesterday who believed this was very strong, despite the fact that the economy is still looking for how to get a lot of vaccine up and running. The whole mining sector, financial services sector, and manufacturing and trade seem to be the outlier for the first quarter GDP that we saw in Africa's most advanced economy. Remittances in Zimbabwe, which is one good story, was that Zimbabweans, despite the state of the economy, those of them in diaspora in Southern Africa, and everywhere in the world, were sending money home. When I saw these numbers, I was unbelievable. $411 million year on year from 221. Talk to me.
I mean, I think that is the most interesting story, yes, of this bunch. Last year we saw them hit remittances of $1 billion, and it was very, very significant. Think a country the size of Zimbabwe, and as important as it is, $1 billion remittance was a huge achievement for them, as compared to about 25 trillion on average that we do in Nigeria. But all this, the groundwork for all this was laid about 3-4 years ago. I think the current finance minister, Kube, had passed some, finance reforms a few years ago, and we're starting to see, the impact. Inflation has dropped from about 200 and something percent to just over 160%, which is still very high, but it shows progress, and progress is the most important metric for Zimbabweans at this moment. And they've also been boosted by the higher pricing of metals, especially platinum. We've seen them generate more export dollars as opposed to their import bill, and that has also supported their currency stabilization. There's still significant levels of depreciation, but at least at a much slower pace than previously. And we are seeing business confidence. We are seeing confidence from the diaspora community, which is very, very significant.
I agree with some of the stories that are coming through to you this morning on Frontier Opening Bell. Let's take a very quick run through the Egyptian market for today. Of course, the World Bank calls Egypt's real GDP growth of 4.5% last year. And of course, for Morocco, it's the flip side of that. That Morocco got its forecast raised to 4.6% in 2021, according to the latest World Bank reports. And that's about it for the show this morning. Thank you very much, Onyeka Ijema from Betiva Capital. I am Bosin Amafaye. See you next time. Bye for now.